Joshua, you have issues with Eli's gender unicorn as a teaching tool, right?
Yes.
Tell us what we're looking at here.
Well, you were looking at TSER's fantastic little gender unicorn. It teaches students of all ages about gender identity, expression, and attraction. It teaches them that everything is on a spectrum and they should be able to explore and express themselves.
What's going on, everyone? It's also Ken here today, and we'll be reacting to a doozy one in this video. So, I know you guys been noticing that I've been on this crusade against wokeism, and I think it's really destroying the country. I think that we shouldn't be passing laws on baseless theory, gender theory, or gender inclusivity, whatever that means. And my argument against this stuff is that you're teaching kids a particular way of viewing the world. It's not actually rooted in any evidence, any facts, any logic. It's just, hey, we're teaching kids that there's gender expression, there's this spectrum. When for generations since the beginning of human time, we knew everything as either this or this. You're either male or female. And in my view, gender was just an extension of sex. Because in the traditional definition of woman and man, they have biological factors rooted in the word, and it was just a way of encapsulating all that information into one word. Like I said, language has a purpose. The purpose of language is to communicate what you observe or see in reality to another person. If you and another person have two different definitions of the same word, you might as well be speaking a different language. And this is the problem with all this gender inclusivity language policing is going on. In the day, language wasn't something that was given from on high by government and say, hey, citizens, here, learn this. It'll help you guys communicate better. No, language developed from the bottom and then it rises up. So what they're doing here is unnatural. You essentially trying to force people to adopt a language that doesn't that didn't occur naturally. This idea of gender theory came about in the 1970s, I believe, if I remember Matt Walsh's documentary, right, by John Money. So one modern thinker in the 1970s developed some theory about gender, and all of a sudden we're supposed to regard this as truth with no pushback, with no debate. Hey man, I digress. Let's check out this next clip.
And you say that this is appropriate beginning in kindergarten.
I mean, I've worked with parents who brought it into preschools even. I see you nodding your head, but I'm sure you're very excited about it. And I do want to point out that there are plenty of trans youth, myself included, who have come out at young ages. If I had this as a tool when I was 8 years old, I would have been so much more comfortable with myself. I would have known who I was and that I wasn't alone.
Just to piggyback on that, the signs of gender dysphoria develop very young. Like you can see it in a 3-year-old. And by the time they're 4, their gender identity is pretty much solidified.
And you see it there. She was talking about, like, in the beginning, at the end of the clip, that's what it's really about. Between 3 and 4, whatever she said, between 1 to 3 years old, that's where kids have question about their gender identity. In my view, that's where they're more susceptible to information. And she's saying that after 3 years old, their gender identity is solidified. That's a clue, guys. There's a reason why they want to teach this concept to kids. Kids are more impressionable than adults. As you get older, you're less impressionable. That's what comes with life. Right? You can't teach your old dog new tricks is a saying for a reason. Scientifically, is because as you get older, your brain specializes in something called crystallized knowledge. It's easier for young people to attain new information, while it's easier for older people to recall old information, right? So this is why, like, it seems like boomers, they have a good memory about things that they've done or things that they do. Is because they specialize in something called crystallized knowledge. Now, I digress. I know I nerded out a little bit over there, but the point I want to make is that this concept is inappropriate for kids. Gender theory is political. I don't care what side of the aisle you are. Gender theory is political. I don't want this stuff taught to my kid. My 2-year-old kid is not learning this stuff. And if public, and this is mostly in public school, but I know some private school teachers are trying to teach this too. If this keeps going, I believe there should be, just like we boycotting Bud Light, conservatives might have to try to boycott public school. Either sacrifice for homeschooling or try to put your kids somewhere else. This is why we're fighting so hard for school choice. Because we want the option to opt out of this completely. Hey, we don't want to be associated with this theory at all because it's unfounded. You got no proof for your conclusions. All you're doing is pushing this view and saying, hey, you should view the world the same way as I am. You should validate how I see myself, even though that is not logically consistent. You can validate yourself as much as you want. You can dress yourself up as a woman as much as you want, but you can't coerce or force someone else to accept that view of yourself. It's impossible. If I come out and say, oh, I'm a handsome man, and everyone who don't regard me as handsome is a bigot, you guys will call me crazy, delusional, a narcissist. And this is what it seems to be. This seems like gender theory is like, hey, validate someone's pronouns. Validate someone's how they view themselves. No, that's an agreement. You debate that. You negotiate that, because like I always say, submission isn't tolerance. So here in the next clip, we'll get some of the pushback, and then I'll give my thoughts at the end of the clip. Let's take a look.
That is not true.
You can suppress
Most-
it. Their gender
No,
expression
it's
is
not
different.
true.
Gender
All of the
expression
science
depends
for
on
the
the family.
last, all the science for the last 100 years has shown in boys who experience gender dysphoria between 2 and 3, 85% of them simply grow up to be gay.
Oh, I love that you're saying
And
this
the
study,
other
'cause I know
five,
exactly
don't
which
interrupt,
one it is.
don't
This
interrupt
is,
and be rude.
I
The
will.
other 5%
You don't think that dismissing an
tend
entire
to
group
be
of people
straight,
is being rude?
and then there are 1 or 2%. The transgender dysphoria persists into adulthood.
At the age of 4, a child is not going to know what emotional attraction means versus physical attraction.
course.
Children,
it is-
children do get crushes.
And
though.
this is a completely age inappropriate product to be putting in front of children and hijacking this unicorn concept.
Yeah, I have a big problem with that unicorn concept. I think they're really marketing this to children, because like I think this theory that I forgot the author's name already, Ellie, whatever his name is. He's trying to market to kids of all ages, right? So he had this information exposed to kids as young as what, kindergarten, pre-K, maybe. I was like, wow, what parent will allow their kids to view this thing? And it's because it's trendy. Oh, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what's a mark of a good parent. And this is how they take over institutions. This is why they care about taking over institutions, being in all these industries, because then they can purport this view as that, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. Fall in line. I'm like, no, this is unproven theory. You guys got no evidence for your conclusions. You can't prove that a man can be a woman can be a man. All you showed me is, hey, we cosmetically make ourselves look like the opposite gender, but in reality, you're still the same gender. You're still an adult human male. And nothing of that changed. And adult human male used to mean man. Then y'all hijack the word man and y'all redefine it, saying that's what a cis man is. And now this is a transgender man. Like, you guys are adding all these qualifiers to create this illusion that, oh, you can be something else. And I like how the fact when the old man came in and he pushed back against the so-called doctor, she was like, we're focusing on gender expression. I don't care how you express yourself as a gender. I don't care if you decide to dress up like a woman. You're not a woman. It doesn't make you, just because you dress up as something or just because you express yourself as something doesn't not make you that objectively that thing. And the only way I could actually understand this idea and theory is that if it's merely a subjective reasoning. This is just subjective view. And in my head, I said, okay, since it's a subjective view, the goal of all this stuff is just to purport it into society and try to make it popular, try to make it the majority opinion, because at the end of the day, this is not rooted in any truth. This is only narrative and perception. And you trying to get everyone to go along with this perception. How this is not considered a religion, I don't know. But y'all want separation of church and state. But this ideology works like a religion. You just want, you're not interested in the truth. You're not interested in figuring out if this can actually be a tenable theory. You just want everyone to reach the same conclusions you are. But hey, I digress. This final clip here, this all the things that we talked about is all encapsulated in this next clip, this next and final clip, and I'll wrap up my final thoughts after it. Let's take a look.
Men do not menstruate. Only women menstruate. Now, you can call yourself
Cis men
whatever you
don't
want.
menstruate, but trans men do menstruate.
No,
Same
they
as
don't.
non-binary people.
Only women.
Menstruating is not exclusive
Yes,
to
it
cis
is.
women. No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
So explain to me as to why my body
if you are,
menstruated at
if
some
your
point then.
chromosomes are XX, and you're young, you menstruate. If you're XY, you don't.
Correct, but what about trans men and non-binary?
They're
We're
not
excluding
men.
a whole group of
They're
people here
women
that
dressed
menstruate.
as men. You are not a man. You can pretend to be a man, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Live your life and tell me what a man is.
Well, what's a man to you? You define a man for me.
You have chromosomes that are X and Y. That's what a man is.
So why are we just looking at the science of this as an
The
example
science.
when we've learned sex and gender identity are they're completely different things.
They're not completely
They
different
are
things.
completely different.
Completely different words.
Sex is what you're born with, the sexual reproductive organs you have. Gender is what you identify with. They're completely
Well, I don't
different
accept that
things.
distinction. You have to argue for it. You're just giving a conclusion. You're just making it up.
I agree. They're just making this ish up because all this is it's not anything rooted in any truth. These people are not interested in any truth, right? It's a form of Marxism at this point that they just want to destroy common understanding of the past. So there's no contrast. So they can come out and claim it's always been this way, right? And then you see the Jordan person. I'll just call him by their name, Jordan. You see Jordan. Jordan's like, oh, how come I'm menstruating and I'm a man? You're not a man. You're a woman. Simple. Based on the traditional definition of woman, adult, human, female, you fit that distinction. But you want to create new words to define your experience, and then you go around trying to claim that you are equivalent to someone who was actually born biologically male, while you did some treatment which is not in nature. Because at the end of the day, I follow natural law. Natural law says I'm born a man, I'm always a man, and language is used to define what I am. Then you want to come out here try to do this gender expression, this subjective perception, and say, hey, if you don't go along with how I perceive myself, you're a bigot. No, there's a lot of things people don't like. When someone say, hey, I believe the Lakers are a championship team, that's my perception of the Lakers. And someone says, no, that's not objectively true. Lakers are number 8th seed. They don't have a high probability of becoming championship. I don't understand how they're a championship team. Oh, they got LeBron. It don't matter if they got LeBron. They're not a good team. That's perception. But I'm not gonna go out and call this guy a bigot. Like, oh, you racist, dog. You it's an all black team, and you saying they can't win the championship is it because of their skin color? No one's saying that. And literally, these gender theorists are trying to do the same thing. They're trying to tell people the same thing. Just because someone don't see you or don't see the thing the same way you do, all of a sudden they're a bigot. And I like how the old man wrapped it up. He said, you need evidence to support your conclusions, and you're just making it up as you go along. And you just want everyone to purport the same conclusions as you are without showing any proof for it. Because a lot of the arguments they mentioned, and the reason why this conversation came up is because apparently in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, of course, they're spending $5.5 million of federal government money to put tampons in boys' bathrooms. You see where these ideas lead to? When you don't challenge the idea, don't be surprised when the action is taken based on this false idea. And it's time we push back against this. But hey, let me know your thoughts are in the comment section. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.